Sometimes a family says, "We haven't decided yet," but something in the room feels different. The words still sound open. People may still say, "We are exploring." They may say, "Nothing has been finalized." They may say, "All options are still on the table." But the behavior tells a different story. One direction receives more energy. One option becomes easier to discuss. Another option becomes harder to mention. Certain questions are welcomed. Other questions make the room quiet. No one says, "This is the decision," but people begin to act as if one path is already more acceptable than the others. This is the pattern I want to name today. The decision was made before it was discussed. Not officially, not formally, maybe not even consciously. But something has already started to move underneath the conversation. And for the family member who notices it first, this can feel confusing because on the surface, nothing looks wrong. There may be meetings, there may be updates, there may be polite agreement. Everyone may still be saying the right things. But inside, someone feels something is off. The conversation says we are still deciding, but the behavior feels like we are already moving in one direction. That feeling matters. Not because it proves anything, but because it means someone is hiding something. Not because it means the family is being dishonest, but because discomfort can sometimes notice reality before language does. In enterprising families, decisions do not always begin when someone declares them. Sometimes the formal decision comes late. The behavior comes first. People begin adjusting before anything is written down. They begin reading the room. They begin testing what is safe to say. They notice which topics are welcomed and which topics quietly disappear. So the sentence, "We haven't decided yet," can be true and incomplete at the same time. Formally, the family may not have decided. No vote has happened. No document has been signed. No announcement has been made. But behavior may already be shaping the future. And when the formal conversation and the lived behavior do not match, people can feel stuck without knowing why. The meeting continues. The discussion continues. The family returns to the same topic. But nothing really changes. And the person who notices first may start questioning themselves. Am I overthinking this? Am I being too sensitive? Why does this conversation feel open, but also somehow closed? That is often the strange part. The family may still be using open language, but the room may not feel open. The words may say, everyone has a voice, but the behavior may show that some voices carry more weight than others. The words may say, we are considering all options, but the behavior may show that only some options are receiving real attention. This is not about accusing anyone. It is about noticing the difference between what is said and what is lived. Because in family enterprises, people often protect the relationship while discussing the decision. They choose words carefully. They avoid unnecessary conflict. They try not to upset the person who carries history, authority, sacrifice, or emotional weight. So the conversation may stay polite, but polite does not always mean clear. Agreement does not always mean movement. And open language does not always mean open reality. Sometimes a family appears undecided because no one has said the decision out loud. But underneath, the behavior may already be showing what feels acceptable, what feels risky, and what is not ready to be disturbed. That is why behavior matters. Behavior often tells part of the truth before the family has words for it. Not the whole truth, not the final truth, but enough truth to pay attention. This is where a family member's discomfort may become a doorway. Not a doorway into blame, not a doorway into confrontation, not a doorway into forcing people to admit something before they are ready, but a doorway into awareness. Because once you notice that the words and the behavior are not saying the same thing, you can stop treating the confusion as random. The delay may be information. The silence may be information. The repeated conversation may be information. The option that keeps disappearing may be information. And the option that keeps receiving energy may also be information. This does not mean you know the answer. It means there is something worth seeing more clearly. And sometimes that is the first movement. No action, no solution, not a new plan. Awareness. Before a family can choose clearly, it may need to see clearly. It may need to notice the difference between the conversation it is having and the reality it is already creating. So when a family says, "We haven't decided yet," it may be useful to listen carefully, not only to the words, but to the behavior around the words. Because sometimes the unconscious decision has already begun to shape the room. And once it becomes visible, the family has a new doorway, not to judge, not to accuse, not to rush, but to begin a more honest conversation with reality. Because sometimes the only real question is not only what decision are we trying to make. Sometimes the deeper question is, what are we already living as if we have decided? That may be where the real conversation begins.